OK, Gordon Ramsay's wife, Tana, has been crowned 2010 Celebrity Mum of the Year. And she attributes the accolade to one important parenting skill, patience. She explained that when kids get older and they get more secretive and into their teenage years, it can be tricky. But just being there, being their friend, helps. As they get older, that's the thing I'm learning all the time, is just listening. Some problems you might not think are a big deal are actually massive for them. But how tolerant are we when it comes to dealing with teenage angst? You've got a teenager, Lizzie.
I've got two teenagers, and I know exactly where she's coming from. I completely agree with her, actually. I think ultimately, you see, you're only really, as a mum or as a parent, you're only as happy as your most miserable child.
That's
so
true.
I just feel you've got to try and help them sort things out. I'm not as good as she is at sitting back and listening. I do try and, you know, and give them ideas of how to fix things, and I think I probably shouldn't, and I'm actually listening to her. But you see, I had a fantastically patient, lovely, wonderful mum. I have still got a fantastically patient, wonderful mum, but when I was a kid, I, like she was saying, took things incredibly to heart. And I remember I had this rabbit, my rabbit, and he died, this rabbit, and I was completely heartbroken, just totally I think it's the first time I'd encountered death, you see. And I took it all to heart. And she was so amazing about it, because I couldn't go to school, I was just in bits. And she had to write a note to say why I wasn't at school, and she put family bereavement. And I've always remembered that, because she understood how much it meant to me. And I try to be the same with my own kids, I really do.
But when they're teenagers, though, aren't they just deliberately grumpy? Can't, you know, I mean...
No, I don't think so.
I know a couple of teenagers now, and, you know, if I...
Is that who you're hanging around with now?
No, it's not that young.
Hanging out with the kids.
No, but and the thing is, they do go into this kind of mood, don't they? As soon as they hit their teens, they go into grumpy mode, and they begin to really rebel against their parents. And it's only their parents. But surely, if you just ignored that, they would snap out of it much sooner. But if you pander to it, it's going to be much worse.
But they're not all Kevins, you know. I mean, some of them are actually quite... They're not, Carol. You may have been, and Mark might be.
No, that's the thing, I wasn't. I wasn't at all, not at all.
No?
No, not at all. I can't remember being angst-ridden as a teenager. I just remember thinking how exciting it all was, you know, growing up and being allowed to go out and
So were you not moody with your mum ever, then?
No, I don't think I ever once said to my mum, I hate you. You know, that's what teenagers say to their mums, isn't it?
No.
I hate you.
No,
not all of them, obviously, but, you know, as a generalisation, they do tend to get grumpy.
I never said that to my parents. I think we'd all have been devastated and all just fallen down if any of us had shouted that at any of us. You know, I was very lucky as well. I had very loving parents, you know, who listened. And but I have to say,
did they talk to you about your angst, about how you were feeling?
Well, I didn't tell them anything. I kept it all to myself and just sort of got on with it, because I didn't want to bother them. Didn't want them to worry. I knew I could sort of figure things out on my own. But I do remember one time crying over a boyfriend or someone who I wanted to be my boyfriend who wouldn't, or something. And I can remember it was actually my dad who gave me the biggest hug and cuddled me for ages and ages and ages, and was just saying, oh, hen, if I could take it away, I would. But that you're just going, this is part of life. You know, I don't know why he's talking like that. You're just
not Scottish at all.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. He was
part
Welsh.
of life, and sometimes I think, you know, kids have to learn how to sort their own mess out, because otherwise, you know, if you do everything for them you try and help them with absolutely everything, how are they ever going to learn to solve problems?
No, I agree with
you.
But you have to be there. I mean, the thing is, when you have a kid, everything they go through, you feel. You know, every pain, every heartache, everything, you actually go through yourself, which you don't understand because you've never had a kid and you don't know what that's like. But I have to say, you know, all I've ever done for Keely is listened and been there. And if I'm needed, I'm needed. If I have to go away, I go away. But I always will try and be there, listen and help. I mean, I remember being in love with one of my Paul McCartney lookalikes when I was about 14.
One of them?
Yes. They were always Paul McCartney. Well, in my eyes, they were. And I fell in love with him, and he dumped me. And I went home and cried forever. And in the end, my mum would say, come on, get over it now. Get on, come on, move on. And actually, it was the best thing she did because, you know, I am totally dramatic and over the top, and I would have cried for years. But so it was right. But and so you have to have a little bit of steel in you to say, come on now, that's it. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
But as long as you listen and love them,
I do that with Amy.
course
She's
you
only
do,
3, but you know, if she falls over and she has a good old cry, I kind of cuddle her for a little bit, and then I go, right, one more cry, and she goes, I go, there you go, it's finished. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do when she's 18. Yeah. Okay, we're taking one last breather before we catch up with the fabulous Scottish songstress